Hello again, dear students. Our lecture for today is about chapter 16, which is positional classes. What's meant by positional classes? Positional classes are based on the positions occupied by the form classes. The members of these classes may be words or word groups. The positional classes are four in numbers, namely nominals, verbals, adjectivals, and adverbials. Let's start with the first one, nominals. Certain sentence positions are characteristically the habitation of nouns. These positions are the ones occupied by words, word groups that have these functions. Let's take a look on those functions, which is occupied by nominals. Subject of verb, subjective complement, direct object of verb, indirect object of verb, objective complement, objective of a preposition, and retained object. However, the fact that certain words occupy these positions does not always identify nouns, because words belonging to other form classes can occur in these positions too. Here are some examples that involve the SV position. The poor live in slums. In this sentence, the SV slot or the SV home is occupied by an adjective, which is poor, and which is identified as such because it can be inflected with ER and EST. In the SV slot, we found here an adjective. The poor is an adjective. Why it's an adjective? Because it can be inflected with ER and EST. We can say here the poorer live in slums, or the poorest live in slums. Both of them are right. The second example, seriously is the best way to study. Seriously is the best way to study. In this sentence, we have an adverb, which is seriously, and which is formed of the adjective serious plus the adverbial derivational suffix ly. This adverb consists of the adjective serious and the adverbial derivational suffix, which is ly. This adverb occurs in the SV slot or in the SV home as well, just like our first example. They are taking the SV home or the SV slot. The third example, reading activates the brain. The word reading is a verb in form. It consists of the stem read plus the ing suffix. This verb occupies the SV position. Here, the verb occupies the SV position as well. Our fourth example, the pathos of the story convinced her. Pathos is an inflected word occurring in the SV slot or in the SV home. It's not a noun because it cannot be it can't take the noun plural or the noun possessive suffix, and it contains no noun forming derivational suffix. In all four sentences, we have seen an adjective, poor, an adverb, seriously, a verb, reading, and an inflected word, pathos, each occupying a noun position, namely that of the SV. Grammarians set up the one who works in the field of grammar, set up a positional class called the nominal class. Any word, regardless of its form class, whether it is adverb, adjective, or a verb, regardless of its form class, is labeled nominal. It is labeled nominal if it occupies any one of the seven noun positions mentioned above. Here they are, the 7th options. Is labeled nominal if it occupies any one of the 7 noun positions mentioned above. This gives us a double-track classification for parts of a speech, one by form and the other by position. Let's see how. We enjoyed the game. Game is a noun by form. The form of this word is a noun because it can be pluralized, and a nominal by position since it occupies the DO slot or direct object slot. So here game is a noun by form, and it is what? A nominal by position. The form of this word is a noun, so it is a noun by form, whereas it's a nominal by position. Why it's a nominal by position? Because it occupies the direct object slot or the direct object home. The second example, about a dozen is my limit. About a dozen is my limit. Here we have a prepositional phrase that occurs in the SV position, subject of the verb position, and hence is a nominal since the SV is one of the positions for nouns. Whether or not, here a prepositional phrase, where is it? About a dozen. Here it is a prepositional phrase, occurs in the SV position. This prepositional phrase occurs in the subject of the sentence or subject of the verb position, and it is a nominal since the SV is one of the positions for nouns. Here is regarded as nominal by position. Whether or not a word group is a nominal can be tested by substitution. There is a test by which we can identify the nominals. This test is what? A word group is a nominal if it can be replaced by any one of the following. Any word group or a word is a nominal if it can be replaced by any one of the following. Which are they? A noun or noun phrase, this, that, these, those, he or him, she or her, it, and they or them. So any word is regarded as nominal if it can be replaced by one of the following or one of those options. Turn to the second one, which is verbals. Verbals, as we have already mentioned, are those words or word groups that occupy verb positions. The principal verbal position is that of the main verb. This position comes after the opening noun slot. After the opening noun slot, or after the initial noun home. The verb by form is a verbal by position. For example, consider the italicized words in the following sentences. The first example, the football team will play tomorrow. The football team will play tomorrow. Play here is what? is a verb by form and it is a verbal by position, because here it has two, as we have just mentioned. We have a dual rule for each one. The second example, or our second example, they have been roaming near the bank. Roaming here is also a verb by form and a verbal by position. The third one, the thief must have been shot from the back. Shot also is a verb by form and verbal by position. In the sentences above, the words play, roaming and shot are verbs by form, because the first one is stem, the second one is a present participle. This is a present participle, and the third one is the past participle, and verbals by position. There are two types of verb. When a verb can be inflected for person, number, and tense. How can the verb be inflected for person and number and tense? For example, the verb can be inflected for person when I say I tell or she tells. This verb is inflected for person. And for numbers, they tell, because the subject is talking, the subject here is used they or more than one. And the last one, tense, we can say they told. So the verb can be inflected for persons when I say he tells or I tell. The numbers, I just exchange or change the subject from he or I into they. They tell. And the last one, tense, when I change the verb itself, they told, I change it into the past. It's called a finite verb, and by position is a finite verbal. So we call such a verb is what? Finite verb. And by position is what? Is finite verbal. So here we have also two cases. By form is what? Is a finite verb, and by position is finite verbal. The second type is non-finite verb. Non-finite verb. This one is not inflected for person, number, or tense. Here the verb is not inflected. There are three non-finite verb forms. Here we have three forms of non-finite verb: the present participle, the past participle, and the infinitive plus verb stem or stem. Let's take those examples. The first one, we're going to take examples about the present participle. Nodding his head. Nodding, it means to move your head up and down. Nodding his head. Here, nodding is a present participle. And it's what? It's by form. It's non-finitive verb by form, and also non-finitive verbal by position. The second one being hungry and being here also, and the third one, the flowers bending in the wind. The flowers bending also here is non-finite verb by form and non-finite verbals by position. The past participle. The past participle here, having defeated the enemy. Defeated here is regarded as past participle. Having been uncomfortable. Been uncomfortable. also. The team having won. Won also here is a past participle. So defeated, been, and won, all of them regarded as what? Non-finite verb by form and non-finite verbals by position. The last one, the infinitive, to plus verb stem. To stop this habit, to stop, and to be reasonable, and to become wealthy. To stop and to be and to become, they are regarded non-finite verb by form, and by position are regarded non-finite verbals. That's all for the first part of chapter 16, which is positional classes. Thanks for watching and goodbye.